The race session is at Sochi Autodrome V.1.15 ACU in Sochi, Russia. The wind speed is 4 km/h from the northeast. MC Chris is P1. Steve Jr. from Australia is second on softs. Red Devil from Australia is third on supers. Lungi from Australia is fourth on softs. L3 Thal43 is fifth on supers. Huggy65 from Australia is sixth on mediums. Etonic is P7 on ultras. Poppy 199 is P8 on softs. 45 minutes remaining in the session. Race start. MC Chris is P1. Steve Jr. is second. Lungi in turn 3 is P4. Lungi passed Poppy 199 for third. Poppy 199 is fourth. Huggy65 in turn 5 is P7. L3 Thal43 is P8. Etonic in turn 8 is 9th. Steve Jr. is second. L3 Thal43 in turn 15 is P7. L3 Thal43 is now P5. Twisted Vine from Australia is 8th on softs, 0.1 ahead of Huggy65. Huggy65 in pit straight is P9, 0.3 behind Twisted Vine. Steve Jr. is P2 on softs, 0.5 behind MC Chris. Huggy65 is 9th, 0.5 behind Twisted Vine. Steve Jr. in turn 13 is P2, 0.7 behind MC Chris. Huggy65 is P9, 0.5 behind Twisted Vine. Huggy65 passed Twisted Vine for 8th. Evo JR is P2, 0.4 behind MC Chris. Twisted Vine is P8, 1.8 behind Huggy 65. Eatnik exiting pits on supers. Evo JR is P2, 0.9 behind MC Chris. 40 minutes remaining in the session. Twisted Vine in turn 11 is 8th, 2.2 behind Huggy 65. Evo JR from Australia is second, 1.0 behind MC Chris. Poppy 199 in turn 3 is P6 driving a RacingF1 Studio, 1.4 behind Red Devil. Evo JR is second driving a RacingF1 Studio, 1.1 behind MC Chris. Twisted Vine in turn 9 is 8th, 0.5 behind Huggy 65. Twisted Vine passed Huggy 65 for P7. Evo JR from Australia in pit straight is P2, 0.9 behind MC Chris. Twisted Vine is P8. Evo JR in turn 9 is second, 1.2 behind MC Chris. Twisted Vine in turn 7 is P8, 1.6 behind Huggy 65. Evo JR in pit straight is second on softs, 1.1 behind MC Chris. Twisted Vine from Australia is P8, 1.9 behind Huggy 65. Steve JR is P2, 1.1 behind MC Chris. "35 minutes remaining in the session. Poppy 199 is 6th on softs, 2.8 behind Red Devil. Steve JR is 2nd, 1.0 behind MC Chris. Twisted Vine on lap 6 is 8th, 3.7 behind Huggy 65. Steve JR in turn 10 is P2. Best lap is a 1:38.154. Twisted Vine in turn 5 is 8th, 2.9 behind Huggy 65. Huggy 65 was 0.6 faster last lap. Steve JR in turn 1 is P2. Twisted Vine in turn 17 is 8th driving a race sim studio, 3.0 behind Huggy 65. Steve JR in turn 10 on lap 8 is 2nd, 1.5 behind MC Chris. Twisted Vine is P8 driving a race sim studio, 3.9 behind Huggy 65. Steve JR is 2nd, 1.4 behind MC Chris. Twisted Vine in turn 16 is P8, 4.5 behind Huggy 65. Evo JR on lap 9 is second, 1.1 behind MC Chris. Evo JR was 0.9 faster last lap. 30 minutes remaining in the session. Twisted Vine in turn 3 is P9, 2.5 behind Etonik. Etonik was 9.9 faster last lap. Evo JR is second, 0.9 behind MC Chris. Twisted Vine in turn 12 is 9th, 3.3 behind Etonik. Evo JR on lap 10 is P2, 0.5 behind MC Chris. Twisted Vine in turn 2 is 9th, 5.0 behind Etonik. Evo JR on lap 11 is second, 0.9 behind MC Chris. Twisted Vine in turn 11 on lap 10 is P9. Evo JR from Australia in turn 10 is second, 0.5 behind MC Chris. L3 Thal43 in turn 15 is P4 driving a race sim studio. Evo JR is P3 on mediums. Evo JR exiting pits on mediums. Evo JR lost P3 to L3 Thal43. Red Devil from Australia is P5, 1.1 behind Evo JR. Huggy65 is 7th, 3.1 behind Poppy 199. 25 minutes remaining in the session. Red Devil in turn 11 is 5th, 2.6 behind Evo JR. Huggy65 in turn 11 is P7, 3.1 behind Poppy 199. Red Devil is P5, 3.1 behind Evo JR. Huggy65 is P7, 2.9 behind Poppy 199. Evo JR is P4 on mediums, 4.6 behind L3 Thal43. Huggy65 on lap 13 is P7, 4.1 behind Poppy 199. Evo JR in turn 3 is P4, 3.6 behind L3 Thal43. Huggy65 is 7th, 4.5 behind Poppy 199. Evo JR in turn 12 is P4, 2.1 behind L3 Thal43. L3 Thal43 is P4 battling Evo JR. Evo JR was 1.8 faster last lap. Huggy 65 in turn 16 is 7th, 2.8 behind Poppy 199. L3 Thal 43 is 4th. Best lap is a 139.799. 1.914 off the fastest lap. 20 minutes remaining in the session. Huggy 65 is 7th, 3.1 behind Poppy 199. Red Devil is P5, 4.7 behind L3 Thal 43. Red Devil was 1.5 faster last lap. Twisted Vine exiting pits on supers. Huggy 65 from Australia is 7th, 1.9 behind Poppy 199. Huggy 65 passed Poppy 199 for P6. Poppy 199 is P8. Poppy 199 exiting pits on supers. Red Devil is 5th. Best lap is a 140.198. 2.313 off the fastest lap. Lungy is P2. Steve Jr. from Australia in turn 3 is 3rd. Red Devil from Australia is 5th. Steve Jr. in turn 14 is P3. Etnic is P7 on supers, 4.3 behind Huggy 65. L3 Thal Fork 3 is 4th. Huggy 65 from Australia is P6. 15 minutes remaining in the session. L3 Thal Fork 3 is 4th. Huggy 65 is P8 on supers. Huggy 65 exiting pits on supers. Lungi is second, 3.1 ahead of Steve Jr. MC Chris from Australia is P1 on softs. Lungi exiting pits on supers. L3 Thal Fork 3 is P4. MC Chris is first. Red Devil is P5 on softs. L3 Thal Fork 3 exiting pits on ultras. Red Devil exiting pits on softs. Poppy 199 in pit straight is P7 on supers, 4.7 behind Etonic. Red Devil in turn 7 is 5th. Poppy 199 is 7th, 3.1 behind Etonic. Poppy 199 was 3.4 faster last lap. Red Devil is P5, 3.5 behind L3 Thal Fork 3. Poppy 199 in pit straight is P7 driving a race sim studio, 1.7 behind Etonic. Poppy 199 was 2.8 faster last lap. Red Devil in turn 7 is P5 on softs, 3.6 behind L3 Thal Fork 3. Poppy 199 on lap 20 is P7, 1.9 behind Etonic. Red Devil from Australia is 5th, 1.5 behind L3 Thal43. Ten minutes remaining in the session. Poppy 199 in pit straight is 7th, 1.3 behind Etonic. Red Devil in turn 7 is P5 driving a race sim studio, 1.0 behind L3 Thal43. MC Chris exiting pits on supers. MC Chris is P2 on supers. Best lap is a 138.192. 0.942 off the fastest lap. Red Devil is P5 driving a race sim studio, 2.6 behind L3 Thal43. MC Chris from Australia is 2nd, 1.5 behind Steve Jr. Red Devil is 5th, 4.9 behind L3 Thal43. MC Chris is 2nd, 1.8 behind Steve Jr. Red Devil is 5th on softs, 2.5 behind L3 Thal43. MC Chris in turn 11 is P2 driving a race sim studio, 1.8 behind Steve Jr. Red Devil is P5, 3.0 behind L3 Thal43. MC Chris in turn 2 is 2nd driving a race sim studio, 1.3 behind Steve Jr. Red Devil is 5th, 2.3 behind L3 Thal43. 5 minutes remaining in the session. Twisted Vine is P9. MC Chris in turn 18 on lap 24 is second, 1.0 behind Steve Jr. Red Devil is 5th on softs, 1.1 behind L3 Thal43. Red Devil was 1.3 faster last lap. MC Chris is P2, 1.2 behind Steve Jr. Red Devil is 5th, 1.8 behind L3 Thal43. MC Chris is second, 1.1 behind Steve Jr. Red Devil is 5th, 1.3 behind L3 Thal43. MC Chris on lap 26 is P2, 1.0 behind Steve Jr. Red Devil is P5 driving a race sim studio, 2.1 behind L3 Thal43. MC Chris is second. Red Devil is P5, 1.4 behind L3 Thal43. MC Chris is P2, 1.0 behind Steve Jr. Red Devil is P5, 0.5 behind L3 Thal43. The leader has just finished the race. Stevo Jr. finished first. MC Chris finished second. Huggy 65 finished 8th. Lungy finished P3. L3 Thal43 finished P4. Red Devil finished P5. Poppy 199 finished P6. Eatnik finished 7th.